Okay, good morning everyone. We've made it to December. Yep, December already. Yikes. So yeah, this post is a little early today, and now it's about 6:33 on a Friday. Well, actually it's more like 6:25 on a Friday. Yes, it's kind of unusual, but I am in my car, and I'm actually going to work in my car, which is already odd enough for me, but yeah, this is the first time I'm actually driving to Fullerton since my job interview with the district to work, and yeah, it's very awkward. Now, there's a reason why I'm doing it. I've been up since about 3:30 this morning. Had to take a couple friends to the airport super early, so you know, for a 5:30 a.m. flight. So I ended up just saying, you know what, I'm gonna be very lackadaisical today. You know, it's I figure, you know what, I think it's better that if I just leave early and take my car, I won't have to deal with the same traffic that I lane split through during my during my normal commute to work, where half the time I'm in between cars, you know, of course getting to work on time. So I am leaving. In order for me to get to work early, I have to leave at least 30 to 40 minutes earlier than I normally would if I took my motorcycle. So I'm actually on time right now. And I will say, it is very odd weather for this morning. Well, for California standards, it's pretty typical, but it's about 58 degrees and foggy with visibility. I'm looking at about 100 feet visibility right now. So it's a slight fog. It's probably coming in from the ocean. And we get this a lot. It burns off by about, 9, 10 o'clock. I mentioned in my description over here that I'm a bit overdressed. I mean, I probably shouldn't have to wear a beanie at 58 degrees, but, you know, I think being home in California for the last 3 years or so has kind of made me sensitive. I will say though, I don't regret taking my scarf with me back in April to Detroit, you know, and having to do that because temperatures did get down to 35, and it was something that I hadn't experienced in a few years. So, you know, I mean, you get acclimated to it. And I often said that when I was still living in the Midwest that my soul froze over in addition to my body. And there was a point where I had gotten so used to the cold that when the temperatures actually made it to about 34, 35 degrees, I was driving with the windows down and wearing nothing but a hoodie. And you just get to the point where you don't even care anymore. But yeah, this beanie's kind of fun though. I got it as a Reddit Secret Santa, a hockey Secret Santa, and it's a Vegas Golden Knights beanie. It's pretty fun. I'd like to go see a Vegas Golden Knights game at home in Vegas. Give me an excuse to, you know, head over. Which, you know, during this time of the year, it's actually a perfect time to ride to Las Vegas. It's not really, you know, it's actually the weather is pretty normal now. It's Las Vegas with some wind advisories, but you can actually do it. So yeah, that's pretty much the long and short of it. And you know, I just got about 2.5 weeks left of my semester at Cal State Long Beach until we take the break for the winter. Now, I was given an option to take classes in the winter, and I'm like, no. So I'm actually going to get a break, sort of, kind of. You know, school will get out December 22nd. At least my last day is December 21st, and then I'm out until at least the first week of January, which I'm good with. So yeah, that's pretty much what's going on with that. And at least you know, taking you know, people to LAX at 4 in the morning is perfectly fine because you know, traffic is pretty much at a minimum, and that's all good. So you know, funny part is, you know, getting you know, broadcasting at 6:30ish in the morning, you know, does get all the East Coasters out, and it's kind of funny. But yeah, I'm just gabbing about this, that, and the other thing. This weekend is hopeful. I think it's the last meeting of that really annoying class I keep complaining about. If you follow, it's the one where the professor has all outdated curriculum and it's completely useless to me. So Unfortunately, because that class is tomorrow, I'm missing my staff Christmas party at my superintendent's house, so I don't even get to indulge in tacos. Instead, I have to indulge in stuff that I taught 10 years ago as an actual teacher myself. So that's lovely. On a bright note, some other randomness is yesterday ending up at Kohl's. If I don't know how many of the Kohl's are participating in this program, but if you have Amazon purchases that you need to return, and you know, Kohl's is actually a hub. So if you take your Amazon purchases back to Kohl's, they'll even package them for you for free, and the drop-off is free. And I thought that was pretty cool because you know, I had this small thing that I had to return to Amazon, and as soon as I returned it, the guy also printed out this coupon that gives you an additional 25% off your purchases. You know, excluding, you know, some major brands that, you know, you can't get discounts on, but it was just pretty cool because, you know, I used to shop at Kohl's a lot when I lived in the Midwest, and that was, you know, that was kind of like one of the few places where you could get anything, because when I lived in Ohio, you know, the closest IKEAs were in, let's see, Cincinnati or Pittsburgh, and now there's one in Columbus. And, you know, REI was in Pittsburgh, now there's one in Columbus. It took them long enough. And anything else that I wanted, I'd have to buy it online, because you just, you know, the kind of retail stores that actually had what you wanted, you know, weren't around much. Now, I will say, though, I do miss Cabela's. And yeah, I'm just going to digress about shopping, but I definitely miss Cabela's. And we have a Bass Pro Shop in Rancho Cucamonga, which is about 60 miles away from where I live. But because it's California, and as you know, without, you know, having to take too much time in going through, you know, the gun regulations in California, the firearm selection there is quite pitiful, and it's not even worth going for that. So whenever I need to go to Bass Pro Shops or anything like that for any reason, I just go for the fishing gear and sometimes the wear. But yeah, and maybe ammunition if it's on sale. But aside from that, though, the selection on that side of the hunting section of the Bass Pro Shops in California is pretty pitiful. I mean, it's now, then again, I remember, you know, Gander Mountain, and Gander Mountain just went under, filed bankruptcy. So, you know, the pickings are slim, and Cabela's just acquired Bass Pro Shops, which makes the pickings even slimmer. You know, I mean, when it comes to sporting goods, you know, since everything's been taken over by Amazon and every other online retailer, the only real online retailers we have now is like Dick's Sporting Goods, and that's all we got. Which, you know, I can go into really raunchy jokes about that because, you know, as you know, in Torrance, Dick's likes to stay on top of Joanne Crafts. You know, it's kind of awkward. Oddly enough, and I have to remember this because since I'm getting on switching over to the 91 freeway right now, I have to remember that I cannot take the carpool lane today. This is very awkward. You know, it's usually I'm on this stretch of the first part of the 91 freeway as I'm switching off of the 110, and I jump on the carpool lane and I blast off. I can't do that today. It's hard to be in a car when you're almost a full-time motorcyclist. I'm realizing this quickly. But I guess, you know, sometimes you just need a break, and you know, considering that, 'cause I don't talk too much about, you know, some of the motorcycle trips that I take, because most of my trips aren't really that interesting. I mean, they're every day, which I'm grateful for, you know, that I get to ride a motorcycle every day, because, you know, it's California. But most of my trips are up the 91, back down the 91, up the 91, back down the 91, go down the 405, go to a meeting here, go to a videotaping there. It's more like a distance run rather than anything scenic. And, you know, there's part of me that sometimes envies the rides that are super scenic, and that, you know, you actually get to go, oh, I'm doing these twisties for fun. And in my case, my twisties are in the form of lane splitting, and I do them because I don't have much of a choice. Otherwise, I'm never going to get anywhere. So, you know, my numbers add up because of how far I have to travel, not the entertainment of the area I travel to. So, but I'm still riding every day. That's what I do. This is just one of those odd exceptions, considering that my first day at my job at Fullerton was on September 25th, and it's December 1st, and I'm finally taking my car to work. It's a fun streak. I've actually been asked multiple times by people that I work with at the schools that I'm at, asking me if I actually have a car. And I do tell them I do have a car. It's just, when you live 30 miles away from your work and, you have the option for a motorcycle, primary one is going to take the motorcycle. And, you just do. It hasn't rained in several months, or at least significantly, to where it's an issue for me to have to do, to have to wear anything alternative. I remember when I first bought a rain suit in Ohio, and there was a point where I was using it at least twice a week. Out here, I had a rain suit at one point, but it just ended up becoming, extra cargo on my top case or my side case, and I actually never needed it. So, but, I'm coming to the point now that if it does rain in Southern California for any reason, I'm probably going to end up not just riding that particular day. I think I might even use it as a way to take a break from riding, because as the old song goes, it never rains in Southern California. And my old adage is, when it comes to motorcycling and the conditions that I've ridden in almost, 275,000 miles of experience, I have nothing left to prove. I will say, though, that if you ever have a chance and you have a chance to ride through an intense snow flurry, that is probably one of the coolest visual experiences you will have in your life. I mean, it's like riding through a snow globe that had just been tipped over. It's an amazing sight. And if I had to relive like one riding moment during my time out there, I would say riding through a snow flurry was probably one of the coolest things I've ever done. So yes, of course, snow flurries only happen when the temperatures are in the mid-30s, and and it's just like this really weird flaky snow that just kind of just floats in the air. And now the fog's gone, so that's nice. But this flakiness, it just hits you in the face, but it's not hard or anything like that. And then when the snow falls on the ground, because the temperature of the ground is still above freezing, none of the water freezes. It's just like a pretty rain. If I had to describe my experience with driving in or riding in a snow flurry, so that was pretty cool. The only other time that I dealt with a snow flurry was on the way to Las Vegas. There's this section of I-15, Interstate 15, called the Cajon Pass, and it's where the elevation reaches above 4,000 feet above sea level, and it's in the desert. And if you get there during the right time of the year, like January, you'll experience, if you get lucky, you might experience some snow flurries. Nothing that sticks, but it's really fun to look at. That was the first time I had ever seen any form of frozen precipitation in my life. And I remember this because I was on my way to a Vegas tournament, hockey tournament, and I had to stop for lunch in Hesperia, and there was a snow flurry. It was just like, wow, I had to be told, that it was actual like a snow flurry, and I went, wow, this is really, really weird. I step out of the car. I'm wearing flip-flops, and it's just like so weirded out by it. So I will say, I don't miss that I miss parts of the precipitation. I miss the prettiness of it. I just don't miss the actual consequences that do come with it. Which then I digress to, Christmas music and, the junior high that I'm heading to this morning for my normal whatever, my normal work day is a junior high that has, a music program, and they've been practicing for the last several weeks for, whatever Christmas music recital that they have. And I realized that all of the songs that they're rehearsing have things to do with snow. Like Let It Snow is one of them, White Christmas is one of them, and I'm just listening to these from while I'm sitting in the media center, and I'm realizing that most of these students have no idea what snow is. And it seems like the more that the more years that go by, and I keep listening to these Christmas songs and realizing that yes, I lived the White Christmas, I lived the Let It Snow. I lived that. But there's no real I guess Christmases in California would be extremely bland then, if that was the case, because what else defines this time of the year weather-wise, other than cold AF and fireplaces and toasty everything. Hey, nice to hear from you. Yes, I will work on having a good weekend after class. Yeah. So back to that, there's definitely something to be said about what is Christmas in California, and what is it? I mean, when we reach December 25th, it might rain or sprinkle a little bit. It doesn't get super cold. I mean, yeah, if you want to go and enjoy some snow, you go to Mammoth, but you have to drive there. For many years, and I was laughing about this, for many years at the Queen Mary in Long Beach, there's this frozen exhibit that you can go to where they have all of these ice sculptures, and then they set the temperature of the room down to 6 degrees. And I was kind of laughing about this because I had some friends who would go every year, and I would tell them, I said, guys, so you have to pay admission to basically experience what I experienced for free. Like, why would I pay to feel like Ohio again for because of the pretty sculptures? I got you. But I was able to make my own pretty sculptures. I had snowmen. And I remember several years ago, there was some random sleet storm coming through California, and there were all of these people, making these little snowmen out of dirty ass sleet. And I'm looking at this stuff they're posting on Facebook. I was like, oh look, I made a snowman in California. I said, no, that looks like what happens when the snow falls from the underside of my car. After I've driven across, Ohio 23 for an hour. It's like, no, that looks like what happens when the snow's underneath your car too long. That's just disgusting. Why didn't you even touch that? I'm used. So yeah, but yeah, I'm a snowbird. I was never born in the snow, so I never learned to really immerse myself in it. I just adapted to it, really. That was pretty much the best I could do. But oh well. Speaking of things that are cold, even though my day started early, I have a slightly late game tonight at Toyota Sports Center at 10:15 p.m. So if anyone is still awake and wants to join me in El Segundo for pizza and beer after the game, or you just want to watch and laugh at us all, we're at Toyota Sports Center at 10:15 tonight. Yeah. Well, I'm making pretty good time here. It's about 6:40 something. My clock on my car runs ahead on purpose, so I think it's about 6. It's just a little about after 6:45. But I finally just passed Artesia, and I'm actually making pretty good time. This is surprisingly good. I'm just not a fan of having to do this every day, and this is the reason why I take a motorcycle instead. But yeah, hey, I don't mind. So that's my randomness. Just kind of just puts in my way, and as soon as I get to close to my school, I think I will indulge in some quick breakfast and coffee, because caffeine is the breakfast of champions, at least the ones that try to stay awake at 6:50, whatever, in the morning. So, hope everyone is doing well out there. You know, I'm actually curious about this whole bring them on camera feature on Facebook, and my cousin seems to be online right now. I wonder if I should do this. Let me try. Now let's see if it works. But nope, that doesn't work. I tried. Yeah. But the fog cleared. I have a beanie on for no reason other than it felt good to wear one, and you know, at least it's the more laid back school site that I'm at, not the other weird one where you know, if I mentioned on Monday, and I'll digress here, but my principal came into my room while I was alone, you know, working on stuff, and had an issue with the TV on because she was afraid it was going to send the wrong message to someone, which was kind of funny because her micromanaging was actually confirmed by several of the other teachers I had talked to later that week, or later this week, who basically say that she actually micromanages when they go to the restroom. So, you know, I understand, you know, there's some things to be followed, but considering that she wears the award for the most micromanaging principal in the entire district, and is even well known by multiple co-workers of mine in my department as being micromanaging, over-demanding, and unable to follow standard protocol when coming to request, you know, technology services from us, I am not surprised now, and so my new thing is I now just have to play the game, which is fine. But on a bright note, I do have the support of teachers, and since one of the teachers in the school is the head of the union for the, you know, for her school, she's the union representative, I mean, I know that I can turn to this person because she has been very kind to me. So the good news is, yes, I'm dealing with a micromanaging administrator again. Or not an administrator, but a micromanaging person who likes to think that she's in charge of me again, which is very deja vu. At the same time, though, you know, this one in particular, this time around is quite manageable. I can deal with this person. The last person who did this to me, not very easy to manage with, and not very easy to deal with. And that was the one where, you know, let's just say, sometimes you're inspired to search for you know, better solutions, like leaving for another school district completely. But anyway, so with that being said, I am approaching the Buena Park region here, which is right where my school is basically bumped up against, and I'm just gonna let you guys go for a bit here. I hope you, if you were listening to even part of this rant, I'm pretty shocked. I just felt like saying something because I need to stay awake. Yeah. Granted that summer comes around and I'll be doing this again in the old Toyota. Yeah, but you know, it's December and it's not summer camp, so I will check you all later. Be good, be kind, rewind, and you know, don't get into too much trouble without you know, providing proper documentation. I'll check y'all later.